I'm delighted to be up here today to talk about Julie Meyerson Ross. If you're not lucky enough to be a friend of Julie's, she may have come to your attention as the craft of a snowflake cutter. Julie has some wild talents when it comes to cutting paper with sharp scissors. It has brought her attention recently, attention which often makes her quite uncomfortable. But I'm here to say that while it's a very cool thing she does with her scissors, it's only a tiny piece of who Julie is. I first met Julie Ross right after we began organizing Progressive Action for the Common Good in 2005. Julie went on the bus trip we organized to go to DC to protest the war in Iraq. These bus trips could be a little brutal. 18 hours out overnight, driving into DC, getting dropped off mid-morning, walking all day, and then getting back on the bus and driving all the way back home. I didn't go. I'm confident in saying that Julie Ross made every bus ride she was on a lot more fun. And she went on to become the queen of organizing bus rides so that folks could go to rallies in DC. Central to who Julie is, she believes in the value of all human beings and of animals and insects and plants and birds. She understands the connection between the planet and everything that exists on our planet, that all are interconnected, worthy of loving care, and dependent on each other for well-being. By nature, Julie cares about people deeply, about how people and animals and all the creatures are affected by things that happen, by policies that are made, by how folks are adversely affected by decisions made by the government, by corporations, and simply by happenstance. I don't have time to talk about all the things that Julie's been involved in, but I'd like to mention a few. Julie got a degree in anthropology, and her first job was working as a VISTA volunteer in a low-income community in Texas. Julie has worked in various fields as a beloved Montessori school teacher. She's so inventive and creative in designing activities for kids, which she does for all kinds of events. One of Julie's favorite jobs was recruiting folks for the Retired Senior Volunteer Program. She delighted in it and was perfect for it because she loved the older people with whom she worked. She valued them and they adored her. Julie has a deep passion for protecting our environment. One of the projects she serves as a longtime volunteer along with her husband Jim is the Wapsie Nature Center near Dixon. The crew of wonderful volunteers there staff the center so that people can visit. They put on all kinds of wonderful programs to bring people out and to educate them and to connect them to the planet. You probably know that Julie's the foster mother of many, many, many monarch butterflies. She has worked with various groups to create habitable environments all over the Quad Cities for butterflies and bees and all kinds of other animals. Another of Julie's recent jobs and favorite jobs is one that she's doing again now, which is teaching English as a second language to people who have left their homeland to come to our country to find a better way of life. Julie is currently working as a volunteer ESL teacher in a program that works with refugees from Afghanistan. Now, Julie doesn't just go and teach ESL a few hours a week. When she started, she realized they didn't have enough teachers, so she recruited her friends to bring a bunch of new teachers to the program. She found out that the Afghan women didn't have all the things they needed, things like beds and linens and towels and cooking utensils. Julie organized her wide community to provide the items that they needed. Julie found out that the women had been professional seamstresses in Afghanistan, and so she worked diligently to find sewing machines and to get the machines working to put into the hands of these women so that they could do the work they love and support their families. Julie has always known what it is to be a good citizen and to be active. She works tirelessly to support our democratic system. She routinely volunteers to work the polls on election day, and she tirelessly works to get out the vote. Julie is somebody who, no matter what she gets involved in, she shows up. She's a worker bee. She doesn't just talk about what needs to be done, she does what needs to be done. Over the last dozen years, Julie's taken a particular interest in challenging leaders who do not hold the same values about protecting the planet and our marginalized communities. She's created interesting and quirky ways to resist. Years ago, she began a practice of going to all the candidate forums and appearances. She would go there to hope to blend in and to get called on by the candidate in order to ask a pointed question. She would pose a question about how are we going to protect people, or the planet, or ensure that everyone has the same access to what we all need to thrive. Julie would tape her asking of the questions and the candidate's response to it, and then she would post that on social media. She did this as a way of pressing the candidates, who almost never took questions from people who would challenge them or their thinking. Over time, Julie was also developing this crazy skill of cutting the most intricate patterns into paper snowflakes. With the tiny sharp scissors, and often with the paper held up very close to her face like this, she realized she could cut any word into a snowflake pattern. She began by cutting snowflakes with words like love and peace and joy, by cutting hearts and valentines and animal shapes and people's names. She began giving the snowflakes to people she admired, with words she thought were fitting for them. For example, she gave Elizabeth Warren a snowflake with the word persist cut into it. And because Julie is quirky and funny and quick and mad wicked, she began to cut words into snowflakes to give to candidates whose positions she does not admire, and then posting photos of herself as she presented them, smiling with their snowflakes. Julie does not want to seem to take credit for all the things she does, or for the moxie and the courage that it takes to show up an event where your presence would not be welcome, to ask the tough question, to present an important and perhaps popular public figure with a snowflake, one that had a word cut into it that was not flattering, but might be more reflective of the views of a lot of us on the positions that some of these officials have taken, supporting policies that hurt people. Julie sees herself as a regular person, which of course she is. She reminds us that we all have gifts and that there are many ways to resist and to be active. What Julie does not see in herself is her courage, her persistence, her insistence that we all do better. She has done things that most of us would never do for fear of being confronted. And she did it with the kind of joy that comes from taking up space and standing up against hatred and ugliness, standing up for the values that we share as people who care what happens to other people. Julie is an amazing friend and a wonderful giver. She is indeed a leader, a resistor, a brave woman. And so it's wonderful that MCCQC today is recognizing her. Julie Ross, please.
Julie, I present you Outstanding Community Service Award from Metropolitan Community Church of the Quad Cities 2023. We love you, Julie.
I am so humbled. I didn't know Cath was, you typed so beautifully.
Thank you.
You framed it in such a way, it's like, oh my gosh. I never saw myself that way, and we do. Thank you. Well, the last time I was awarded anything was choir my senior year in high school. So this is like a really big deal. I mean, the gratitude, I'm so humbled. And MCCQC that you're doing this for me. I'm just a kind of tangential member, but it's wonderful. All you beautiful people in this beautiful space, and you know that you, Rich, have empowered all of us. It's wonderful. So it's funny. Again, Cath, you really write well. I never thought of all these disconnected and discombobulated actions as more than just like isolated creative fun, because I do have fun and I don't tend to really stick with many things. I switch around, but Cath, you make me see myself differently. So I didn't do this alone, obviously. many people, a lot of you here, I would see you at these events, and you would kind of push me forward and say, go on, do it. And then they'd call the candidate and go, wait, she wants to take a picture with her or whatever. This is an Iowa tradition. And so, you were all in on the joke. So, I'm just grateful. And Jim, my husband Jim has been my greatest cheerleader, and he's taken a lot of the photographs, and really importantly, he does most of the vacuuming. And yeah, there's been a lot of vacuuming. My family, some of them are here. My brother Charlie and his wife Pam, my daughter Brenna is here, and our younger daughter couldn't make it today, Eliza. But one of the reasons I did it is because you made me proud because you were proud. And, that was like, okay, that's a good thing, I'll keep going. My really dear friends, Lucia and Cath, really stood out because mostly they carried me through a really dark time in my life. And they encouraged me to get back in the game. And I'm so grateful for that. I wouldn't have kept going if it weren't for you two, I'm sure. Now, I can't write as beautifully as Cath, but I became aware of you. I'm glad it was confirmed because I said around 2005. And I became aware of you and your art and your organizing, and I was a fangirl. I mean, you fascinated me. I Googled you a lot. Who is this woman? And really, I was timid, and it was like, and then when you did the bus trip, and when you said you didn't go, I remember being really sad. Because you said, I have a bad back, I can't ride. It's like, oh, I was going to ride on a bus with this woman. So, you were my mentor in many ways, and now I'm just so proud to say you're my very, very dear friend. And I don't know if you realize this, but you're also being honored today. It was kind of like a double-blind gift to the Magi, and I figured out. But, I have done a variety of one-off things, but Cath, with your organizing and community organizing and your gifts to the community has been so long-standing and ongoing, And so I'm just grateful for you, and I know the community is grateful, and we're mourning your loss, but also celebrating that you'll be with your family. And Rich, do you want to take it from here?
Thank you so much. So you've heard a little about Kathy today, and MCCers know Kathy because Kathy reads our scriptures and is here for us in everything that we do. She is an artist, she is an activist, she is a chaplain. She is the woman who officiated my late husband's funeral and officiated Jeff and my wedding. She is a phenomenal human being who cares deeply about the community and about progressive values. Kathy worked for many years with legal aid locally. She was the manager of child and adolescent psychiatric services in LeClaire, Iowa. She founded Progressive Action for the Common Good and has been involved in organizing good trouble in the Quad Cities for decades. Cath has also been a very devoted friend of MCCQC and lent her aid to many, many of our fundraisers and events. And unfortunately, as some of you know, she will be leaving us to move back to Minneapolis to be close to family. But Cath, you will be deeply, deeply missed.
advertising me. I thought we were doing it for Julie, so it's been a comedy. But I'm just so thrilled. And I have to say, you know, a lot of you are here who I've worked with over the years. The secret to my success is I don't work as hard as you all do. I don't work as hard as Julie Ross does. You know, at Kathy LaFriend's, you know, Maria Grubiesco, all you people, you work much harder than I do on this stuff. Trust me that that's true. So I'm humbled, and I honor all of you. Sherry Carnahan, I mean, so many people here who've been doing the deal for decades and decades, and so I'm very grateful. Thank you.